MVP.
I know rent is due every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that rent's due, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 119. Al Ryan, Chris Guest, and myself, Adam Seltzer. And gentlemen, ladies, something, I don't know. I said it's late night. My brain's already on whacked. Sixers open their season tomorrow night against the Milwaukee Bucks. And let's be honest, guys, it's never a dull moment when you're a Sixers fan.
Well, come playoff time, it's a lot of dull moments.
That's true, but we're talking about drama, not necessarily performance on the floor here, Al.
Right.
But if you guys, I wanted to bring up to you guys before we even jump into the Sixers, I don't know if you guys have watched any of this Knicks-Celtics game tonight.
I turned it off at like probably a minute left in the first quarter. It was already a joke.
So I got a little bit of a bold prediction for you guys. The Celtics have now made, I think, 27 threes, 26 through three quarters. I think we're
serious.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're insane.
Did they take any twos?
Yeah. So that's my point. I think we're 2 or 3 years away from the NBA making considerable rule changes for the three-pointer.
Why don't they talk? They've talked about it. I know, like, as far as expanding it or making it longer, because Steph and Clay and other guys are just at this point, like, I mean, we got guys regularly shooting 45%.
They're gonna move the line back.
I think they either move the line back, or you ever play when you're in like high school CYO, like a small gym where they don't have the corner three. The line, the line kind of just like hits out of bounds and it just stops.
They're gonna just eliminate the corner three.
I just think when teams, I think Boston ended up last year in their shot profile, 48% of their shots were from three. It becomes a tough product to watch when the just launching.
So why don't they? Oh, go ahead, Al.
If the WNBA hasn't lowered the rims yet, I don't see the NBA getting rid of the corner three.
I mean, the bottom line is, to Al's point, like, it does attract people to watch games more. No one wants to see long DeMar DeRozan 20-foot jumpers. Yeah. But I will say this: if you do want to do that, they should make the entire court bigger, including the three-point line, so that there's more range to shoot the two-pointers.
That also is an option. I don't know how much that would affect revenue with team seats having to get moved back. And
well, it would benefit them because you actually can put more sponsors on the court. The court's bigger.
I don't think you say people don't want to watch the DeMar DeRozan twos. I agree with that, but I also don't think teams want to see teams shoot 50 to 55 threes a night either. It's not an all-star game.
I know what you guys are going to say, but are we going to ever see a world with a 4-point line?
No, that's another thing I've heard.
Not anytime soon.
I mean, that's drastic.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be that soon. I think it could be I mean, no one thought it'd be a three-point line in the 80s and 70s and stuff, and here we are. So,
could you imagine? Go ahead, Gas. Go ahead.
I'll say they're going to put that three-point line out to the half-court line to stop the guest bomb.
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, could you imagine if we had a 4-point line in high school? We thought Guest was a jack then. Pulled up.
I ain't never. Yeah, I ain't that line. Hey. Dude, you know what it is. I'm still.
Quiggs would walk off the court like that dude did the one time we were playing. He would just leave. That's it. I'm sick of this.
All right, but gentlemen, like I said, the Sixers open up the season tomorrow. We got some really bad news today. Paul George out. I think we all kind of saw that one coming, and we may have seen the other one coming as well. As Joel Embiid has been ruled out not only for tomorrow's game but for the games the rest of the week. Now we did do. Each of us has a specific player and some predictions to go with it, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least start with the Joel Embiid news and your reaction when that dropped today.
That's not news. It's not news.
I was going to say I don't know who else is surprised by that at this point, unfortunately.
But when you say you're not surprised, is it because you're not surprised because this always happens to him, or did you legitimately think he was not gonna play on Wednesday? Because by all reports going into yesterday was he practiced without scrimmaging, he looked good, he looked light, and they expected him to play.
As soon as they said he wasn't playing preseason, I knew there was like an 80% chance he would not be playing in game one. Also, people aren't talking about this enough, and it's been on my mind ever since the summer. When we got Paul George, that should have signified right there Embiid's going to miss more time, because Paul just came from a team that had Kawhi Leonard, who was captain load management, and he's also been a guy who's previously said on live TV to Inside the NBA, if anybody got a problem with the way we play or our favoritism, they got to put in basically the time that we have to earn that. So he is very much on board with load management, and therefore that word is definitely passing to Joel. And I would not be. I think that my prediction. I know that I don't have Embiid, but just real quick, I would say you're going to see Joel Embiid turn into a white unicorn, where if you see him, and it's going to be 40, 45 games is a lot to see him at this point in time. I would not be shocked by that.
So if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, how do you sign this guy to an extension if that's what you're getting?
Because you're the Philadelphia 76ers. That's how. You cornered yourself. You have to do it at this. You feel like you have to do it at this point because he puts butts in seats. I told you, this team, this organization is not concerned with winning a championship. They're concerned with just being still at the top of the league as far as ticket sales and revenue go, which they have been for the last 6, 7, 8 years, ever since they drafted the guy.
And to that point, the way the organization handled this situation is poor again on their behalf, because it's one of two things, guys. Either Joel Embiid is injured and they're not saying anything and he's missing games, or they knew he was not playing tomorrow and they drug this out to get additional ticket sales, to keep those tickets on the marketplace and the value of them up while all this is going on.
But I don't think that's just the Sixers. I think that's turning into sports now. I mean, look at the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey. They did the same exact thing to the point where he's actually not even – I mean, there was the all summer, all training camp, all OTAs. He's fine. The cap is going to be fine. We're not worried about opening day. And then all of a sudden, like the Friday before, he's all of a sudden not going to play. And then that turns into an IR. And then next thing you know, we still in week 8 coming up have not seen this cat on the field. And it's not abnormal anymore in sports where these organizations just – carry these fans along for a roller coaster ride, and it's like, you want to pay to get on it, or do you not? But we're going to still do what we think is best. And again, it goes also back to the people who are looking at this from a perspective of, these back channel statistics that just aren't out. Like he was like, where is he going with
I was just wondering.
Back channel.
You said Captain Load earlier. I was
hey. It's these people making decisions that have never played these sports, and it's going to continue in this day and age. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised at all by any of it.
But it's a good point about McCaffrey. But the difference is, Chris, people buy tickets generally for a football game. If you're going to watch the Eagles, you're going to an Eagles game. You're not. You want to see Saquon Barkley, but it's not going to make or break your experience. If you're going to a Sixers game or a basketball game, a lot of times you're going to see that one player. The Sixers without Joel Embiid are an extremely different team than the Sixers with Joel Embiid. And while it's McCaffrey, it's a little bit the same boat. San Francisco is still a pretty good football team without him, and the experience of going to an NFL game is still there.
The other thing you guys got to remember is the fans are just collateral damage. This is also gamesmanship, right? Because if you don't come out publicly and say the severity of someone's injury when it's a star player like a McCaffrey, now obviously the word is out now. It's 8 weeks into the season, but going into that first game, they're probably trying to keep some things close to the chest so that the team they're playing has to potentially game plan for him playing. I think it's the same thing with Embiid, but at this point, everybody knows about Embiid's history. Well, I know we have a lot of unnamed sources on the show. I have a guy who said that he's still injured. Embiid is still just straight up injured. Like he's not hurting. He's not sore. He's just, the knee is still injured. It's not right.
But that goes back to what I've said before on this show. Like I've been the Embiid apologist, but at the same time, I've also been steady with saying that you're never going to get a healthy Embiid in the playoffs. You could have him play 5 games in a regular season, His body will find a way to get hurt in those 5 games. That's just how he is. And if you're going to have a Joel Embiid on your team, that's something that you have to just basically learn to live with and build around so that you can be able to tread water while he's not playing. And I think that there's enough people now in this city who would pay tickets or pay money to buy tickets to see a Tyrese Maxey, and they would pay to see the new blend of skill set that we get with Paul George when he plays, because I don't think he's going to play a lot either. No. I don't think Paul George is going to play more than 60 games.
No, I guess to your point about Joel too, 5 games, 10 games, 20 games, load management, it doesn't matter. Like if your car gives you problems every winter, not driving it all summer isn't going to make a difference. It's still going to give you problems in the winter, and that's Joel Embiid in the regular season and the playoffs. It doesn't matter how little he plays in the regular season.
Correct.
And sometimes with that car, you got to just live with that consequence, because it's not easy to just get a new one, or it's not easy to sell it.
The Sixers just up the insurance. They just doubled down on the insurance.
Exactly what they did.
And I agree. Sitting out a game in October reflects nothing on what will happen in May.
No, nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
All right, who has Embiid on their list? Let's just go with it. Let's just start.
One more point, because I think we've talked about management. Assuming you said, Al, that you have a little source that this is probably still an injury, and maybe it is, but if it is truly a ramping up process, it's a disgrace for Joel Embiid, because you have a situation where he played in the Olympics. He had 3 to 4 weeks. By all accounts, he's dropped all this weight. You have a new era with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey coming in, and excuse me, it wasn't until last week where we had the Paul George injury. The fans were excited to see this, and all of a sudden you're not out there opening night besides these 2 guys because you're not ready to play. Like what the opening day date did not just appear on your screen and say, hey, we have a week to get ready for this. You knew the date in advance. So for you not to be ready after playing in the Olympics, that's a disgrace, especially as a franchise guy.
And I think also, to piggyback on your point, for him to come out and just openly say, with really no sense of emotional intelligence behind it, that I'm just not probably going to ever play back-to-backs again, and just be like, yeah, it is what it is. But, like, I think that's also irresponsible as a franchise player for a team that has aspirations to go far in the postseason, to just expect, like, we've debated this before, whether the NBA matters or not in the regular season with seeding and this and that for the postseason. First of all, you got to get to the postseason. So for that, in that regard, the NBA season does matter. But in my opinion, at this point, you got to point your finger at the commissioner, because this league has become a straight up AAU/rec league where these guys show up when they want to show up, and they just want to play in the postseason. They have realized at this point, based on probably the people who are telling them the stats and everything else, that these regular season games aren't as important, and you just need to get to the postseason. And as Al said earlier, and I agree, the fans are just collateral damage in that, because these 82 games, this 6-month plus season, is basically just like, oh, my team's playing tonight. Maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I won't, because that's the mentality you got to have. That's how the teams feel.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So, like I said, we're going to each take a player and make a prediction, and then we'll kind of go off of that. So, let's start with Joel. Who had Joel?
Guess
you.
Well, I kind of already said it. I predicted that I don't think he's going to play more. Not only back-to-backs, I don't think he's ever going to play more than 50 games in the season again.
Well, he only played 39 last year.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to ever play more than 50 games, whether it's by injury or by choice, based on that back-to-back rule that they're going to put in or whatever they're going to do. Or I would not be surprised by that. Also, I'm a little nervous that the Olympic Embiid is the new Embiid. And I don't think anybody's talking about that.
Are you finally out on Joel Embiid?
No. I'm just, I have concerns. He's still potentially a top 5 player in the world. I'm not going to deny that. And the team, if he is on full go, can still make a deep run. But I don't know if or when we'll ever see that with him based on his health. And part of it's not his fault. Part of it's just his body just can't withstand being a professional athlete.
Yeah,
I just diverse in the chat. My stock portfolio is free of Embiid. I'm
liberating.
I'm so ready for the pain of the season.
Guess what do you think? Like, if a Clippers fan came to you and said, like, yeah, like I'm still in on Kawhi, like, you know, he's top 5 when he's healthy, or if a Bucks fan said, you know, Chris Middleton's still an important piece of this team when he's healthy, like he's still the man when he's healthy, like a second fiddle to Giannis, like
I think
that's what you sound like when you talk about Joel in this way. It's past tense with Joel.
I think the Clippers want Kawhi is more of an ideal comparison versus Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's not nearly the player that these other guys are.
I know that, but what I'm saying, I'm making the comparison as far as the history.
I think that I agree with Kawhi. If Kawhi's in a playoff series and he's healthy, I still think that he could put a team on his back and win a championship again. But when will we ever see that again?
It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
when are we going to ever see that?
The gravity of that "if" in that statement is massive. It's monstrous.
So it's like going to roulette and betting on the 0. Someone's got to hit it. At some point, you think that someone's going to get it, and I think that the Sixers brass and the Clippers brass, same thing, are at this point they might be just saying and admitting they're betting on 0 because that bet is worth this whole process.
Yeah, but the difference in that is, Chris, every year that goes by, they're adding more numbers to the table, and the odds of that if coming to fruition are becoming smaller and smaller.
Yeah, because Boston's betting on 20 of them numbers.
Yeah,
listen,
at this point.
I mean, these Boston guys, I don't want to change the topic. They got 2 dudes that just they're out there every night.
All right, so
those dudes are out there every night.
Is your prediction that he's not playing 50 games?
Ever.
So I had a couple over-unders for you guys at the end, and I had the over-under for Embiid games at 52.5. So, Chris, you have it under.
Spoiler alert, I'm taking the under for every prop you give us tonight. Because I know it's going to have a lot to do with games played. I know it. I'm taking the under on all of them.
It's not all on games played.
Parlay for the unders.
All right.
Parlay them all together.
Let's flip it around. I'll go with I have Paul George. I'm going to get a little bullish and optimistic on Mr. Paul George. And my prediction is Paul George will set the single-season Sixers record for three-pointers made with close to 250, assuming he can get to 68 games played. That's my number. I think if Joel Embiid, I think what Chris said, if Joel Embiid is playing less than 50 games, it puts more weight on Paul George to get on the basketball floor. Because we've seen what this team will do with Tyrese Maxey and a bunch of other guys last year, and that's fallen out into the 7th seed. So I have Paul George setting the single-season Sixers record for three-pointers this year.
I can see Maxey doing that, to be honest with you. Maxey looks better again this year than last year. I mean, he looks like a legit superstar about the bloom this year.
I think they both have a shot. Here's a trivia question for you guys, though, before we get to Al. How many 76ers have made over 200 three-pointers in a season? It's only – I'll say it's 4 guys. Can you name the 4 guys?
Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey last year was 3rd. He had 212.
You said over 200.
Like what, 3? It's a little more than 3 a game.
Dare I say Korver?
Kyle Korver 2nd with 226.
Dana Barros?
No, Barros had like 197, I think.
Redick.
JJ Redick has the all-time Sixers record with 240.
That's a good one. And is the last one a throwback dude, or is he?
No, it's a present dude, but it's not somebody I think it's going to come first to mind.
Seth Curry?
Not Seth Curry. Think volume shooter, process era.
Oh.
Process era volume shooter.
Sergio Rodriguez?
Isaiah Cannon?
Diverse in the chat. Got it. Cove. Big shot Bob.
Oh, my God.
203 for Cove.
Gift that keeps on giving, that dude, Covington.
Yeah. But okay, so my prediction is, what are your thoughts on Paul George breaking the record? I think Tyrese Maxey has a shot as well.
Is Covington in the league right now?
I don't think so. I don't think he got picked up.
Markel's not. Your boy.
I know. We need a couple more teams. We need some expansion.
Let's bring them all back. Get Ja back.
Run with us.
Yeah, run with us. Let's combine all the run the show your love to run with us through the process or something. I don't know.
All right, Al, hit us. You had Tyrese.
Yeah, so Tyrese is a guy, I mean, obviously he's the apple of everybody's eye as far as the 76ers go.
And he's hurt.
Right.
Yeah, he's fine. They said he's fine.
But I mean, he got a little banged up.
Nobody's going to say a bad thing about him. We talked about corner threes to open up the show. You know what he shot last year on corner threes?
Like 53.
Guessed?
Yeah, I was gonna say about 55.
61% from
Yeah,
corner three. But the problem is like, how do you get him down there and get like that's not his
Right.
game, right? To be a corner three guy. Listen, I had my optimistic prediction for him is that he makes the jump. I mean, last year was he played a lot without Joel Embiid, and I think he was still learning how to run the offense and have the offense run through him. I think he makes the jump this year to a top 5 offensive threat in the league, much like a Devin Booker kind of guy. I think he could even garner some MVP votes depending on the health of Joel Embiid and Paul George along the way. I could see him averaging something like 29 and 8. The only thing that really held him back last year was, again, those woes as far as I think getting used to the offense running through him and getting used to defense's game planning for him as the number one option because his shooting numbers all dropped. His attempts all went up. His usage went up, but the percentages dropped. So if his percentages can get back to a little bit more where they were 2 seasons ago and 3 seasons ago and still gets up the same volume, I don't see 29 and 8 being out of the realm of possibility, especially if you're talking about playing a lot of games with either Joel Embiid or Paul George. Now, with that said, I think the more realistic prediction is that he might have hit his ceiling only because of what's around him again. I don't know how much more they can ask of him and realistically he can do without Paul George or Joel Embiid on the floor with him. Because at the end of the day, he's still barely 6'1", 6'2". He's still a guy that he doesn't play much defense, but he can only do so much. I think he's more of this season, maybe a 25-7 guy. So that would be my actual realistic prediction.
Yeah, I think the one thing that you have to play in the factor here is you mentioned if he could get his efficiency back to where his volume was last year, his efficiency in past years. I think just from the naked eye, the reason that his efficiency dropped last year was because the difficulty of shots that he was taking was significantly higher just based on the role that he played, right? He wasn't getting all those clean looks that James Harden was creating for him. He had to create a lot of those for himself, especially once Joel was out for 40-plus games. I mean, there's nothing bad to say about Maxey. He looks like he's improved again. His body looks really good. His shot's going to be there. I have 25-7. I think is absolutely in the realm of possibilities. 29 feels like a little bit of I feel like if they need him to score 29 points per game, we're looking at a team that's in bad shape.
I agree. But if you're looking for data, right, let's not forget the kid put up 350 pieces last season. He averaged nearly 30 points in that Knicks series, just a shade under 30 points, and also put up 46 in the Garden in Game 5 in an elimination game. Like, he's shown now he has the chops to do it, which I think we were missing the years before when he was more of just a benefiting from teams not really game planning for him and having Joel on the floor more, obviously during Joel's MVP season.
Fair.
Yeah, I think that if I don't think 29 is out of the realm because in today's NBA, these guys we already mentioned earlier, they're just jacking shots. And he's damn sure going to jack shots if those two aren't playing.
Yep.
So, and you could also look at the situation too, where those numbers could be higher for him if they are playing because there's less pressure on him. I mentioned before, I'm not crazy about him as a point guard on the team as a bona fide lead number one. I love him as a combo guard where he can do both at different times. But if he's a bona fide number one, he's going to have the ball in his hands all the time. And the one thing the Sixers did do well was they did get some shooting with Eric Gordon and guys that around him where teams can't just double him up or kind of wait for him to get into the post on drives to put a wall up like they did with Ben, because Maxey's more than capable of dishing out to the perimeter to get guys open for their shots, and they had to respect that. So, and his speed, you can't teach defending that. You either can or you can't. And most guys can't at that level that he has, that he brings to the table. So 29 to me is not a crazy number.
And his hair's not in his face anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can see the net.
He can see the net.
All right, let's go.
I got rid of mine. I had to be able to see it.
Same. All right, let's go to our second tier player. Chris, who'd you have for your second tier player?
I believe it was McCain, right?
I had him as a third tier. Who's your
third tier?
Oubre?
Yeah, Oubre.
I'll be honest with you. I don't have a lot of. I think Oubre is going to do what he always does. I guess the prediction is that he's going to be consistent in his role. I think he's going to give you around 15 points a game. He's going to probably shoot in games more than he should. There's going to be times we're going to get pissed off where the ball just stops at him like a big black hole. But there's going to be games where he catches fire, and you're not going to have a problem with it. And I know that's a very vague prediction, but other than that, I mean, he is who he is, and the Sixers know who he is, and they want that athleticism on their team. I guess I guess I'll say this. I guess he'll start. I'll say Oubre plays all 82 games.
All right. I actually think that Kelly may take a small step forward, and the reason that I say that is I think he came into this team last year not really knowing who he was as an NBA player. He bounced around from team to team. He was kind of known as a volume scorer, inefficient. He obviously signed on the minimum last year, so he wasn't really wanted. And I think at the end of last year, I know he didn't have a great series against the Knicks, but defensively he was really good. And I think he kind of found a little bit of niche and a little bit of confidence with this group. And I think he's going to come out and be able to play that way early in the year. Again, there's with those other guys, Paul George and Embiid and Maxey, there's only a limited amount of space he can do for his numbers to truly increase. But I think you're going to see a more confident guy on the floor this year with Oubre.
I think he's important defensively for us. I'd like to see him step up more as our on-ball defender, the guy that can stop the other team's three, because I don't know who does that for us. Hopefully he keeps on slashing to the basket, because we need somebody that keeps these guys honest on the outside, that they can't just hang out on the perimeter.
I'll say this also for a prediction for Oubre. I think that Oubre will find his way on the new season of Unsolved Mysteries to find out who hit him last season with the car. that
was a wild story when you think about him.
We've got to find out this perpetrator. This is or was, and bring him to justice.
All right. My second tier guy is Andre Drummond, and I'm going to say that the power positivity again. I think Andre Drummond, despite having to come off the bench for however many games Joel Embiid plays, is going to finish the season as a top 3 rebounder in the NBA this year. He gives the Sixers something they are dying to need. They don't have anybody else who could really rebound the basketball. And I think even when Embiid plays, Andre Drummond's going to play at least 18 minutes a night. And in 18 minutes, Andre Drummond can grab 8 rebounds without question.
Dude, I'll go a step further than you, Seltzer. He could lead the league in rebounding. If he's going to play, if let's say our prediction is right with Joel not playing a full number of half of the season of games, I mean, if he's getting 29, 30, 31 minutes a game, he can get 14, 15 boards a night easy.
Well, that's the thing. The league leader last year was at 14. I don't know if I think it was Sabonis.
He's arguably the best offensive rebounder in the league.
Yeah, but I don't think if Joel plays 40 games, I think that limits his ability to finish first. But I think he can easily get 11 and a half or 12 rebounds a night. And if Joel's out for an extended period of time, he, number one, absolutely comes into play.
Yeah, I think he's going over that minutes play per game, too, because Joel's going to be out a bunch. He's going to have to average at least probably 22, 24 minutes a game. He's only 31. I know he's big, but he's only 31.
I think he'll end up averaging more minutes. I'm saying in the games Joel plays, I think he'll average about 18 minutes a night.
Oh, okay.
I think Joel's only going to play 28 to 32 minutes a night when he comes back.
Let me give you another prediction here while we're on the subject of predictions. Without Joel, I know the other night when I was watching them in the preseason game, granted it was preseason, they got up and down pretty good as a unit. And obviously, a big part of that is Maxey speed. We got young guys on the wings as well, like McCain, Oubre can, obviously bring athleticism. They might end up being a more fun watch.
I agree.
At times without Embiid on the court with this current team.
Yep.
I don't disagree with that. They
may
not win as many games, but it'll be a more fun team to watch.
Yeah, and that's with Paul on the court. I'm saying that.
Yep.
Because Paul can run up and down too if you need him to.
I don't hate that. All right, Al, you had Caleb Martin, I believe.
I had Caleb Martin, a guy that I said I thought that they would sign and wanted them to sign. Now we have him, and I thought about it a little bit. I love his intangibles, right? I love the fact that he's been in all different roles in Miami. He's shown to be a playoff performer. He played very well 2 years ago against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, averaged 19 and 6. My prediction for him, though, unfortunately, I don't know where he fits in just yet, right? He's undersized. at the 3. He usually guards the other team's point guard or possibly shooting guard. If he's out there with Maxey, I don't know what the Sixers do defensively against the other team's backcourts. So Caleb Martin, optimistically, I'm hoping that he's a guy that can kind of give us like consistency, maybe like a 14-5, like almost like a Tobias Jr. Like, we always expected Tobias to give us a consistent 20-8. Yeah, that's the first Tobias drop in a long time. Realistically, unfortunately, we've had a lot of role players in the post-process era. George Niang, DeAnthony Melton, Shake Milton, Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, Furkan Korkmaz, Mike Scott. I think he becomes another one of those guys, at least in the regular season. I don't see where he really fits in.
Al, I couldn't agree more. He's already, we'll see what happens tomorrow night, but, late in the preseason, Coach Nurse already kind of, in a way, I don't know if it was a demotion or just an experiment, but they took him out of the starting lineup. And I could see him being, I think I texted you guys this, I could see him being the new Tobias in the sense of this guy you want him to score more, and he is not going to be able to regularly give you that 14. I could see a world where that happens. Now, defensively and in clutch times, we've seen him perform really well. He is a Boston Strangler, and I think that's part of why they got him, to be honest with you, because of that. But I think a lot of that is on the defensive side of the ball. You're going to need a guy like him to guard the Tatums and the Jaylen Browns or Drews or whatever of the world. But even tomorrow night, maybe with Dame. But I worry about him from what I've seen so far. And I don't know if it's just because they're trying to work the chemistry out, get the kinks out of there, but he doesn't look like a great offensive. He's historically only averaged single digits a game. So maybe it's foolish for us to expect him to average double figures, but they're paying him like they're expecting that. So
yeah, I think the ceiling though, Chris, could be if he settles into that 6-man role. He could be a very good six man for the Sixers, but I just don't know. I don't know what the future holds for him this season.
Yeah, I think you guys, your expectations are a little too high for Caleb Martin. I think
Caleb Martin, what I'm saying. I
fits in well. $8 million in this NBA is not a huge contract by any means.
That's true.
I think that, and this is going to get received very poorly, but I need you to roll back to back before it all happened. I think he's going to be what we wanted PJ Tucker to be. He's going to get the loose balls. He's going to do the dirty work, and he's going to make threes in the corner. Like, I don't think he doesn't have an offensive game. Like, that's not, he'll attack the rim and make a bucket. His career high for points per game is 10 points per game. You can't expect that from him. He's here to do the dirty work and knock down shots. And again, I think he's best suited in a guy coming off the bench. Chris, you mentioned that they put him on the bench. Apparently, the reason for that was Nick Nurse said he doesn't like Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon backcourt together, probably because they're both fat and slow. So if he puts Gordon in the lineup, that separates those two. So we'll see how that plays itself out. I think once they get healthy, you'll see more of Martin. But I don't think if you're trying to be a championship team, Caleb Martin's not in your starting lineup.
No, but here's my concern, though, is that he's going to have to be because of the injuries, right? So, like, if you look at the way the roster is built and you take out either Joel or Paul, right, which we're assuming they're not going to play many games. So then you got the one or the other of those two, Maxey, Oubre, and Martin. Like, Martin's all of a sudden your fourth option.
It might not be you might be talking about the different Martin from what we've seen in the preseason game. It might be KJ starting tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Then we're just throwing shit at the wall now, I guess.
Listen, it is what it is.
Free Ricky Council. All right.
Yeah, he's in a dog.
Free my man.
All right, let's go to the third tier. Chris, you had McCain, so let's start with McCain.
So McCain, my prediction for McCain is, and it's not as much about him as much as it is about his influence. So I've already had in class, I've had a few different kids on projects put him as their role model. And that's before he even plays an NBA game, because they've already known him on social media. And I'm wondering if Jared McCain is the new style of NBA player, where we've questioned he has a dog mentality in him, but it's hard to see that when we see the painted fingernails and we hear him talk and his whole thing with the photography and the videography and all that kind of stuff that he does off the court. And it's hard to see that dog in him. But Al, you know as well as I do, this generation now plus the one coming next, they're just a different kind of person. They don't have that killer instinct. And I know Seltzer, I think it was Seltzer, you sent that clip of Kyle Lowry and McCain interacting on the bus and things like that together. And Kyle from the old school now at this point, which is the same school we're from, telling him like, yo, chill with all that. Like, get that out of my face. Like, get off the phone. But I think that's the new dude in the NBA. And I think that there's more Jared McCains to come. And more importantly, fans that are going to embrace that.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Individual too.
That style, I hate to turn it to golf, but Al, we see it all the time now with YouTube golf, right? It's all about getting on camera, getting views, getting your brand out there. And I mean, apparently, I'm not on TikTok, but apparently this guy does a great job of it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not buying the McCain stock, at least for this year. I just don't think physically he's ready for what's coming for him in the NBA. He's still small. I haven't been impressed by his shooting. Everybody says he's a great shooter. I haven't really seen it. I do think he's a little more crafty with the ball than I thought he would be. But I don't think he's in this rotation unless something bad happens early in the season. I don't know about you, if you guys feel that way.
My hope for him is just that Lowry takes him and Tyrese takes him under their wings and just shows him how to play the game, the NBA style of play. Because the shit that got him to the league at Duke is great and all, but that's not going to keep him in the league.
I will say, I think his shot's growing on me a little bit. He's had some good misses. He's not clanking them off the side of the backboard or something ridiculous. Like some of those just aren't falling because they're just not falling. But his shot form, at least, he kind of, and then you guys will probably rip on me, but his form reminds me of Klay Thompson a little bit. Now, I'm not saying he's going to become Klay Thompson. I'm just saying his form, huh?
You love Klay Thompson. You had to mention him. Why not mention Duncan Robinson while you're at it, guest?
His mama call him Klay? I'm going to call him Klay. Actually, well, maybe we see Duncan on this roster by the end of the year.
Uncle Dunk.
Who knows? We're not stopping this pod until Duncan's a Sixer. The day he becomes a Sixer is our series finale.
We'll wrap it up. All right, let me hit you with my third tier. I got Giresun Yabusele, and I'm going to say, I don't know if this is optimistic or neutral. I think Yabusele is a huge, huge piece in regards to what the Sixers are going to do this year. And I don't know if he's going to become that. But I say that because we mentioned Drummond as far as hitting the glass. Other than that, other than the center position, there's no size on this team.
They still can't rebound without
if Caleb Martin starts, he's going to be your power forward at 6'5". And you look at a guy like they're playing Milwaukee tomorrow. You look at a guy like Giannis. Who do we have that can match up with Giannis? Anybody?
Are you saying Yabusele is going to match up?
No, but could Yabusele be what Grant Williams was for the Celtics 2 years ago? That bigger guy, that body that could give them 15, 20 minutes a night of good basketball off the bench. And yeah, like Giannis got the best of Grant Williams at times, but at times he was able to stop him just using his size and his feet and moving around. I'm hoping that Yabusele can be that guy for the Sixers because I think he may end up being the first guy off the bench at many points during the season because they're going to need his size.
I think the Sixers are looking to be, and it's hard to imagine that with like having a Kyle Lowry or an Eric Gordon on this team. I think they're looking to be more quick and athletic on this team than they have in the past. Yabusele is I know he's in your words, Seltzer, he's a thick dude.
Thick.
All right. But he's athletic and he's strong and he's quick for his size. And I think if you put him with the Maxis and the Oubres and those kind of guys, even Caleb Martin, I think that they're going to run a lot and look to do a lot of things above the rim this year.
Well, they're also, I mean, by all indications, he's the backup center tomorrow night. Yeah. Adam Bona barely played in the preseason. I don't think he's going to be in the rotation tomorrow.
No, he's not. I don't think he's ready yet to do that.
If Yabusele can give us, if he can harness what he did in the gold medal game against the U.S., if he can give us that, then yeah, he's going to be way beyond the expectations. But the question is like, Is he coming to the NBA to give us that, or did he come to the NBA for a paycheck? I don't know anything about the dude. I'm just saying you never know what a guy's mentality is and what his motives are. Like, is that it? Has he made it? Or is he getting ready to grind his ass off and be like a Grant Williams type where he can be a pest and he can be a rebounder and he can be an energetic guy off the bench? I mean, time will tell, but I think that's the optimistic point of view, right?
I just think he's a very important person on this team.
I agree. And I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, Al, honestly. I mean, he's been in the league before and he didn't make it the first time around. He went back home, got better with a jump shot, got a little bit more in better physical shape. And I think he's got something to prove this go around in the NBA. And I think I agree with Seltzer. I think he's going to be not only a big piece, but I think he's going to be a fan favorite. I really do. I think we're going to love Yabusele by the end of this year.
He's already a fan favorite. The question is, you guys got until the end of the pod to figure it out, is what Kate Scott's cute little nickname for him is going to be. You got until the end of the pod, boys.
We'll leave the anticipation for tomorrow night.
Versa, hit us with one in the chat. I know you got something.
And by the way, I never compared McCain to Klay Thompson. I just literally said his shot reminds me of Klay Thompson. I never said he's going to average 28 a game and be a Hall of Famer and one of the best shooters of all time. I never said that. I just said he looks, when he shoots the ball, like Klay Thompson.
Yo, is Kate Scott going to say, yabba dabba doo?
Stop. We got 24 hours left without listening to her. All right, Al, I think you had the last one. I don't even remember who your guy was.
Talking about thick, Kyle Lowry.
Oh, my man.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry. Dude, so Kyle Lowry sneakily shot 40% from three last season. Obviously not a high volume, but only the second time in his career that he's able to do that. All we need from him is that, 25 minutes a game, the steady 8 and 4 that he's been producing for the last few seasons. He plays smart. He's obviously still an exceptional passer. So optimistically, his body holds up and he gives us solid backup point guard minutes. Again, he helps continue to bring along Tyrese Maxey, helps bring along Jared McCain. That's what I would like to see. Realistically, we're going to just get the same shit that we've seen in the last 3 seasons. I mean, how can your expectations be anything beyond that for a guy who's 38 years old? So, I have no issues with Kyle Lowry. I love having him here. I think he's a dog. So that's what I have for Lowry.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this. I have a couple over-unders, but I want to before we get there. Let's say tomorrow night's game it's close coming down the stretch. Who's your closing 5? Let's assume that Maxey, Drummond, and Oubre are locks to be out there. Who are the other 2 guys closing this game with you tomorrow night?
No, that's easy.
Who do you got?
I think it's Gordon for his shot, and I think it's Caleb Martin for his defense.
That was my first instinct.
I think it's Lowry instead of Eric Gordon.
You can go either way. It depends on the situation of the game.
Yeah, I would not like that personally.
I don't know. I trust Lowry. I always trust him. I'm not saying I want that to be down like as we get further down the line this season, but I think I trust Lowry. I have no problem with him closing games.
We got to get Diversa a trademark.
Yeah, but
for that.
What's more likely? We get healthy Embiid in the playoffs. We spin that 0 in the roulette wheel, or Diversa joins us, for an actual podcast on the show to talk about maybe wrestling Halloween Havoc.
Well, and also, Al, do you think over/under? Actually, no, it wouldn't be over/under. Do you think Yabusele could fit his wide frame through that narrow door behind you?
No, that's what we should have done.
Door is tight.
Which Sixers players could fit through this door?
Yeah, I can. There's at least 4 that can't.
Yeah, it's less than half the team, guys.
Because that roof is what? I mean, it's not even 7 foot, is it?
No, we got space up here, dude. Look, I don't even. My head doesn't touch.
Well, you're like 6'8". So it must be at least 8 or 9 feet, I guess.
I just seem like that to you because you're like 5'4".
Listen, by the way, speaking of my frames, there's a lot of guest bomb at a lot of 25-year-old guest bomb and 35-year-old Eric Gordon.
Yeah, that's
I watched something. I was like, I feel like I played just like that, just running around the 3. If you get a shot, take it. If not, don't.
I mean, Eric Gordon is Buddy Hield.
I was just gonna say that
reincarnated.
Just gonna
You
say
think
that.
would you rather have Hield or would you rather have Eric Gordon?
I've seen enough from Buddy Hield to know I'll give Eric Gordon a shot at this
Yeah,
point.
I like Eric Gordon. I always have. I think he's a decent player.
I think Gordon plays within himself a little bit more. Like he understands what he is, and Buddy did not seem to understand who he was.
Well, Buddy's trigger he wasn't trigger happy. Like he was brought here to shoot, and he was hesitant to shoot. I think Gordon's not going to be scared to get him up.
One more thing before we move on, kind of unrelated, but what happened to Mikal Bridges' jump shot? Did you see this?
He got falsed.
He looks to his shot like it went viral already. I was like, "What is that?" It looks totally different, and it's not near. I mean, I don't know what he finished with. I mean, for all I know, he might have got hot and had 10.
He did shoot it a little better in the second half. He was see what he ended up
because the
7
beginning
for 13 overall, 2 for 7 from 3. So he ended up with 16 points. But
2 for 7 from 3. I mean, not that he's ever been an elite 3-point shooter, but he's normally around 40%.
Yeah, high 30s. Yeah, it looks ugly. So we'll see. I mean, it could be faults. Who knows?
What's up with these guys just listening to dudes and just make them change their game? Like, I just do what's been working for you. You just got a freaking awesome situation. Just stick with it.
How Sixers would it have been if we traded for Mikal Bridges and he came here and his jumper was like that? That's
you know what it is. You guys know he's Jack's neighbor. He's probably playing one too many pickup games with Jack down in Avalon this summer.
Oh God!
Some of that Corcoran jump shot. Which, by the way, happy 40th birthday to Jack if he's listening.
Oh, Jack turned 40.
The old man's the old man.
40th birthday on Monday.
The old man's the old man.
Birthday, man.
All right, I have 4 over-unders here. 2 of them we already kind of discussed, so we'll just do them quickly. But the first one is wins. I took this from the Vegas win total. The number out there is 49.5 for Sixers wins this season. I'll say I think it's under. I think it's a rough year. I got 44 wins.
I'll take the under also.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at it.
Because here's the thing, right? This Sixers team to trick yourself into thinking that they're anything more than they're not at this point it's what we did with the Eagles last season. Like we kept thinking they're better than they are, but reality struck and it's like they're not. And so we've gotten to that point with the Eagles now. We need to get to that point with the Sixers. Like they are just not a 50+ win team. They're not.
I don't think definitively that's the case. I mean, and also in the NBA, 50 wins again. Like if you're genuinely a legitimate playoff contender, I'll say 50 wins is very achievable.
Doesn't it say
With
something?
That being said,
doesn't it say something that all the pundits think that George, Embiid, and Maxey is like the best trio in the league when healthy, but we only are at 49.5?
Well, that number is still 49.5, knowing that Embiid said what he said, knowing that Paul George is injured to start the season. So I think Vegas actually is bullish on the Sixers.
All right, so you're taking the over.
I'll skate. First of all, I would not bet this a little bit. I'll say 50. So I'll say over by a half a game. That's a sweat job all season if you put money on this.
All right, Al, what's your actual win total? I have said 44.
46.
Okay.
So that equals what? Like a 6 seed?
Yeah, probably 6, 7.
They got to be better than that.
It depends how many games Joel plays, and that's not predictable at this point. But speaking of not predictable, Embiid over under 52.5. I think we all took the under at this point, right?
Under.
Okay. Oh, under, yeah.
All right, the other one I had, again, we already kind of discussed this. I have Tyrese Maxey at 25 points per game.
Over.
Taking the over.
I will also take the over. And my last one, I got to shout out my boy on the Detroit Pistons, B-Ball Paul.
Oh,
2.5 double-doubles this year. What do you got?
2.5?
I
don't know anything about that roster. I imagine over.
He's not starting. Like he's the same role he's played for the Sixers.
Yeah, he got to get he can get 3 out of that.
All right, shout out B-Ball Paul.
What you got any Tobias over unders?
I would say Tobias. I mean, points 18.5. Right? I mean,
yeah, with that roster, is Cunningham hurt?
No, he's playing.
Is there someone hurt on that team? I feel like I saw something about. I don't know, maybe not. I know we had a good preseason. I don't know if he got hurt at the end of it or not. Yeah, I'd say 18.5 with that team. Maybe be pretty close.
They don't open up. When the hell do they open up? They play tomorrow.
The versus predicted comeback player of the year for Tobias.
That'll be on brand.
43% from 3, 25 a game.
The Thompson twin is out. He's got like blood clot issues. That's the only thing injury.
Thompson. Oh, not to be confused with the '80s duo, the Thompson twins.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap. We still have to do best bets. So I believe we went 2-1 last week.
Yeah, I took an L.
Yeah, Al took the L last week.
Jacksonville came through.
Jacksonville came through in London. Who'd you have, Al? The Jets.
Jets.
Yeah, the Jets. I had the Lions. I'll open up. I'm going to go with the Thursday game, boys. I'm going to take the Rams +3 against the Vikings at home. Quick turnaround for Minnesota after a tough divisional loss. Rams getting Cooper Kupp back, may get Puka Nacua back. Minnesota has to travel. I think it's a little bit of a letdown spot, short week. I'll take the 3 points at home with the Rams.
All right. I got, listen, Carolina's coming off of a road drubbing. They now have to travel again, this time across the country to Denver. Denver looked very good last Thursday night. I watched him that game. For as bad as he looks sometimes, like it's very high and low, the variance with Bo Nix. He made some plays in that game as well with his legs and with his arm. I'm not saying that I'm in love with the kid or anything like that, but I think that Denver looked really good, and they have the extra rest because they played on a Thursday night. They're at home. They're giving 9 to Carolina. Carolina absolutely stinks. Give me the Broncos.
I also just saw Andy Dalton was in a car accident today, so you might get Bryce Young.
Even better.
Yeah.
Get it now before that line goes up.
What's his condition?
I think they were fine. I didn't. It wasn't crazy.
All right. Well, that's good. Yeah, man. I got a couple games that I'm looking at this week. Total transparency, I did not have a game pick for this week for this. So I'm gonna do it while we're thinking about this together. One, you know what? I'm gonna have my in honor of watching the Vince McMahon, the Mr. McMahon documentary last week. I'm gonna flex some Cayunes here, and I'm gonna give you an upset special. I'm gonna take the Titans +11 at Detroit. Detroit coming off of a emotional win in Minnesota, division opponent on the road last week. Coming back home, they might be in for a little bit of a letdown. And I don't think that they'll lose to the Titans, but I think Tennessee might sneakily keep that game close on the defensive side of the ball based on Detroit being half asleep in that game. So I'm going to take the Titans +11. 11's all. Listen, when we get double digits, that always freaks me out as far as betting on a favorite anyway in the NFL. So even with that alone, I'm going to take the Titans.
Yeah, double-digit dogs are supposed to be like an automatic bet in the NFL.
Yeah.
They cover more often than not. I don't hate that pick.
Now, Al, did you have something else you wanted to put in here before we wrap?
Yeah, so I have this is a little mini segment here, and it's going to be more for Instagram. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, start following us. I want to start posting some of these as reels so you get a little bit more of our content on social media. So I don't have a name for this. So for now, it's just going to be called Shit That Al Found on Twitter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you some stuff here on the screen, and I'll explain what you're looking at for the listeners at home. And I'm just going to ask you to react to it. I have like a question or a comment that goes along with each. And I just want you to give me your reaction, just the first thing that comes to mind. So I don't know. Did you guys watch the Texas-Georgia game?
Not a play.
All right. So Texas-Georgia. Georgia goes into Texas, beats number 1 ranked Texas on the road. But the real story here from this game is this gentleman who has become viral ever since that game. I don't know if you've seen this. It's this kid with this hair that looks like a 70s, 80s feathered hair. I don't know, stoic look to his face.
It's good. It's good that Beavis turned his life around and went back to school. I think that's an awesome thing.
My question for you is, you guys both don't rock hair. If you had the chance to rock hair, but it had to be this, would you do it?
Permanently?
Permanent.
No, I would have been done what I did now years ago.
That's a nice head of hair. a solid foundation.
That's a
You can
mop.
do something with that. But that's dude. I gotta imagine that he's a Georgia guy or a Texas guy?
That's a Texas guy, I believe.
He's
I don't know.
gotta
He looks like he's wearing red, isn't he? I don't know.
He's got to be sweating so much either way.
Well, that Texas heat.
Yeah, man.
You know, they said online that it looks like he has on a Guardian cap.
What would my black ass do with that haircut?
Yeah, you rock something like this.
No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. I couldn't do nothing with that.
Oh, that's so funny.
What is he so serious about?
He got to be a Texas guy. That's why he's all mad.
Dude, I mean, look, the look these days for these kids is like retro. Like, I think like stuff like this is back.
Oh,
it's a great head of hair.
You know who he looks like? Remember the two like women on the first season of Step by Step that were like in the extra room in like a hair salon?
Yeah.
I think it
doesn't look like that.
I think it was like Carol's mom.
What was her name? She was redhead.
Yo, it was her real name was Patrika Darbo. What do you know about Patrika Darbo, guest?
Wait, for what show was it?
Step by Step.
Oh,
they had the hair salon in the back room.
Yeah, he looks like he's going home to a complete gut job renovated house. Like he's like his house is probably like, or his parents' house is probably like straight out of 1984, and it's not been touched. Like plaid curtains, the Roseanne couch,
eating the Hungry Man dinner on the recliner.
Yeah, he's got grape nuts.
All right, let me move on to picture number 2 here. I want to know. So you guys know I'm a big fan of getting my jerseys from China. This guy has on a Minnesota Vikings Justin Jefferson jersey that says Justin Jefferson completely spelled out, and it's the number 2 on the back. My question is what's the worst jersey you guys have ever seen in public? I'll give you a chance to think. So when I was actually in Austin, Texas, and it was for Jelly's bachelor party many, many years ago. And there was a Seattle Seahawks bar somehow. And we went there, and a guy had on a Seahawks jersey with the number 12, and the name on the back was Man. And it was supposed to be to signify the 12th man. And I thought that was the dumbest jersey I've ever seen in my life.
So I don't know about the dumbest, but what I will tell you, one thing that I did, I went on a road trip to a bunch of Major League Baseball stadiums when I was like 21 years old. And my goal was to I didn't buy the actual jerseys. I bought the t-shirt jerseys of the randomest player that I could find at those stadiums. So I came home with a Ryan Garco Cleveland Indians jersey and a Dave Bush Milwaukee Brewers jersey at that point in time. So those were the two that I remember that I had. So those were some throwbacks. I got to think of some like jerseys I saw in the OD, but I'm just blanking right now.
The Dave Bush is a big Sea Isle jersey. You could have gotten away with that in Sea Isle. Just drank Bush Light all summer.
Yeah, true.
I'm trying. The other day I was somewhere, I think Wegmans or somewhere, and there was a woman wearing a tucked-in Michael Zordich jersey. Now, that era is a forgotten era of Eagles football with the William Fullers and the Mike Zordich.
Did she look like this, guest?
Also, bear in mind, you're talking to someone who had a Pirates Reggie Sanders jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So,
you know. All right, number 3. Let me got 2 more.
That's hilarious, that Justin Jefferson. That's what the hell is this?
Portal.
So the portal opened up in Philadelphia's Love.
What is that? I heard about that. What is that?
So it's this huge circular screen that is connected 24/7 to another part of the world, and it's live video. And so it's connected to Dublin, Ireland. And what they're doing is apparently they're moving this portal all over America. My question to you is Philly the best or the worst place for this thing?
Oh, it's the worst place.
Where is it? Is it in Love Park?
Going to Wawa's.
Yeah, it's in Love Park.
We're going to be going to the Sheets and trashing them in Pittsburgh somewhere.
I feel like if you're looking for a proper representation of what the United States is, that the Love Park in Philadelphia, that's where you need to be.
Yeah, with the rat race that is the United States. All the
where
rats
else you going to put it? Tulsa?
I think it says a lot that America put it here. Like it was in Times Square, and now this is number 2. I think that says a lot.
Oh, I thought you meant as far as like taking advantage of it and using it for the wrong reasons.
No, also that, but I also think it's the best place because the memes are about to go off for the next like 3 to 6 months. Yeah. Like this one that we're looking at for the listeners, it's they Photoshop Jason Kelce sitting by the fire in his robe with his chunky soup in the portal.
I still don't really fully understand this. I don't think so. Do you see you see a screen, and the same screen is shown on the portal in another part of the world?
Yeah, it's a massive Zoom call, guest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the girl showed her boobs on in the New York one, right?
Yeah.
So somebody in like Tokyo or where the hell else the thing was saw it.
Right. Well, it's only in Dublin right now. It's Dublin and Philly are connected.
Well, when you pick it, I mean, globally, that's kind of 2 random cities for this. You'd think they put it in like London and LA or Tokyo, or put it in Philly and Dublin. I think they wanted it to be chaos.
Maybe.
And used for the wrong reasons.
Maybe. All right. And here's the last one, guys. It's a picture of a T-shirt that the Lakers are giving out this evening with Bronny's face over the logo, and it says "Up next."
What for a haircut?
What? You want to go back to that first picture? Should we put that kid's face on it?
Al, what would be funnier, Seltzer with a black afro, or me with a white mullet?
Now, you with that first kid's haircut, dude. That would be Luckily, I just got to go back to my Carroll yearbook to see that guest. It's not.
I mean, it's about a portal. We could put a portal up here at this point and show some pictures.
So here's my final question. It's just, what are your expectations for Bronny this season? Do you think he's going to average 2 points a game?
So they're saying that he's going to get in tonight. That was what was said on Twitter, that in the second quarter,
they're probably going to All-Star game.
No, he's not ready.
Talk about collateral damage for the fans. You go to a Lakers game, you got to watch Bronny play.
Dude, what happens when the fans vote him into the All-Star? I'm dead ass serious. What, like, you don't think playing for the Lakers, that's not out of the question?
That's great shtick if they do.
Yeah,
I could see that happening.
Bronny and Bron in the All-Star game together,
dude.
And then what? I mean, Bryce is I don't know how old Bryce is, but like, do they wait around for him and become milk this for like a whole family thing?
Dude, after what I saw in the Olympics, Bron may have 5-6 years left in him still.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he looks like he can play for another handful of years still.
Yeah, what's the Sixers, or who is the Sixers equivalent for this shirt? Like, if we did this tomorrow night.
As far as being like ridiculous, you mean?
Yeah.
No, it was. Do you remember when KJ McDaniels was dunking on people, and then his mom said something about him not getting playing time? It was like if we tried to tie our boat to KJ McDaniels, that's what it would be like.
Yeah, I mean, as far as current, I guess it would be maybe Ricky Council, right? Someone that people want to see him get more time, but he doesn't. But it's like a little bit of a fan favorite. Maybe they put the old Ricky Sanchez on a shirt.
I was gonna say Bona. He would be the one.
I was gonna say I hate to do this to my boy, but maybe B-ball Paul.
Oh yeah, up next out the mud.
Yeah,
just a shirt with him covered in mud. How'd nobody do that? Like Sports Illustrated or somebody, like, or Philadelphia Magazine, just him just drenched in straight mud.
Oh my god, the only dude to wear that is Seltzer.
Shout out B-ball Paul. Listen, all right, let's close with this. This is just a one-word answer. I know you guys gave up on watching already, but let's get a World Series prediction. Yankees, Dodgers, one of the biggest World Series in the last at least decade, I'd say. Al, what do you got?
Dodgers in 6. Ohtani does something big.
Chris?
Same thing, actually. Yeah.
All right, I'll take Dodgers in 7. So we're all on the Dodgers. All right, so we'll see if Joel's active by next week. But until then, we're going to drop that beat.
Maybe put